Everybody. Talmar Anderson from Boss Actions. How are you this day? It's a beautiful sunshiny day, and I am super excited to remind you of one of the best advantages a small business has these days. It is remote team members. Now, I am telling you, we had this possibility for over a decade, the opportunity to hire people from different locations and use them on a limited basis or a part-time basis and not have the overhead and really look for the best possible hires for what our business needed. However, it wasn't quite that acceptable. Like people were like, can't we just meet in person? Don't you have an office space? And so I am shocked to admit it, but I got to say, one of the good things that came out of that crazy pandemic where we shut down the universe, which was just shocking, was that business did become okay with remote team members. Now, I'm talking about whether you have direct report employees, independent contractors, or you have vendors. These are all remote team members, boss. Don't forget that. Everybody there should be on your same page. They should know your vision. You should be touching, and not inappropriately, but you should be touching base with them and managing their efforts in the, again, depending on the engagement, but still making sure that they are working towards the mission, the results, the value that you expect them to bring to your small business. But let's go over again why this is such a big advantage for small business and why it is really allowing people that want to step into growth for their companies to do this at a much faster rate and a much smaller budget to get that growth factor. So the very first thing is, remember, we don't have to pay for office space every time we want to hire anymore. Now, depending on your industry, again, I'm sorry, restaurants and nail salons and you beautiful, fabulous in-person services, trades, right? These are people that need to be on site and they need to be local. And I get that. And so the thing for those businesses as well. But consider that some of the support positions you have, assistants, marketing, some of the other efforts don't necessarily need to be able to sit in your office space. So we don't have to pay for that big rent and lease every time we want to grow. We don't need more space, more space, more space. So consider, if you need to grow, what positions you can pull in that will support your growth without having to be physically on site. Because I think people that think that they're in-person services forget some of these other hires that can really enhance our growth and help us get there faster and bigger and scale. They don't always have to be on site, even if the rest of the team is. Or maybe you're building a whole business where everybody's remote. So you really understand this one. Now, of course, you help them by having the computers that the company provides, and other different pieces will cost you money, but it's certainly not the same as paying for an actual physical site. And I'm sorry, commercial leasing people. I know I love you very much and I value you. And I know there's a lot of bosses out there that love to work in the physical space because I believe humans were tribal and we do better when we're surrounded by other humans. And that's where the fun and the creation comes. But with remote teams, we just have to be intentional to create those spaces. And I can talk about that another day. I just want you to understand, not having to pay for that overhead is a huge advantage. We no longer have to wait to hire. As soon as we can see that growth and we've got the budget line item to cover it, let's get those team members in that will help us get there faster. That's the point, right? So no overhead is one of the biggest advantages that a remote team member brings. The second one is you have a much bigger labor pool. If you are based in Oklahoma, you can hire somebody in Florida. It doesn't matter anymore. So now we're really looking for the best people, which, you know, I love that, right? We can really find our very best SEO person that we need. We can find the absolute best dispatcher if that's what we need, the absolute best sales, customer service representative, whatever the role is. Now we really are looking for the best people. And that is a really exciting opportunity, understanding that we have a much bigger labor force. So that's the second advantage for hiring remote teams. The third advantage, you only need to hire what your business needs. And what I mean by that is If we just need somebody to work 10 or 15 hours a month on something, whether that's a vendor, an independent contractor, or an employee, we certainly can look for that smaller amount. Because if they don't have to drive into a physical place, they're less frustrated that they're only getting 10 hours a month from you, right? If you wanted to spread that out over several days, that gets time intensive when they have to drive to the office, drive home. And then there's that value is it worth it to get this job if I only can have 10 to 15 hours? So now we can really stay within our budget and what we really need, not over hiring. So we don't have to hire a part-time person for 20 or 25 hours a week. If we really only need 20 hours in a month, it's not the same budget for sure. And it's also harder on you because you're like, this is where we walk into that role of Frankenstein, right? What else could they do? What else could they do? And this is where we build a position where somebody's waiting to fail because we just filled up their days with stuff that aren't really their zone of genius. So let's hire the right people for the right amount of time. And we can do that with remote teams. Don't let remote teams overwhelm you. Don't let them frustrate you. Yes, your management has to be more purposeful. Yes, you have to be more intentional in your conversations and your agendas. But that's stuff we can figure out. It's not that difficult. We're happy to help you if you need help around that. But I need you to understand, even if you are an in-person on location, enhancing that growth through using remote teams, again, whether vendor, independent contractor, or direct report employees, can really let you grow faster because you don't have to wait for all that extra expense to be in your bank account. We can get more progressive. We can get more excited and move forward faster. That's how we scale. That's why small business is doing so great now, because now we can actually create an organizational workflow chart that includes both in-person and off-site people. And it's this beautiful menagerie of all the pieces supporting each other. But it is up to you, boss, to make sure that they stay connected and they feel like they're part of that team situation and culture. Otherwise, we will just have people that are jumping around. All right, I got really excited about it. I was thinking about it over the weekend and I wanted to share it with you all. So drop it in here. Let me know. Do you have any remote teams? How do you feel about working with your remote teams? And can you understand where remote teams can really save you budget money and allow you to grow the business faster? All right, everybody. Boss on.